Hello, my fellow Americans. I am Bill Bach, author, speaker, and coach, and I am speaking out today to we the people because there are some grave decisions that are going to be made this week by the leaders of our country. Now, we are so lucky to be members and citizens of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, a place where we can enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But I am concerned because I'm not sure that we the people, particularly our younger generations, may not realize the magnitude of the decisions being made. The issues that I'm concerned about are around the U.S. budget and the deficit limit. The current debt ceiling is $31.46 trillion. That is the same as it was under the previous administration. However, there's some things that we should take into consideration. One, the previous administration increased the debt by a whopping $8.8 trillion. Now that seems outlandish, but the current administration wants to maintain that level. Now the reason that it was increased $8.8 trillion was because of COVID. The U.S. government expenses to help us get through that pandemic was over $7 trillion of the $8.8 trillion increase. Now, to put that into perspective, we are 332 million Americans. 107 million, according to the records, had COVID sometime during that pandemic. And 1.1 million of those died. So yes, the previous administration spent $7.1 trillion to keep the other 1.6 million of those that got the disease from dying and the other 200 million from getting the disease. We do not have a pandemic at that extent today, with 32% of the U.S. population sick. Thus, we should not need that 7.1 or 8.8 million increase to take care of that kind of situation. We should be able to reduce the spending and the deficit by that amount. To not do that, I feel, is irresponsible and reckless, and I would like to explain why. Debt requires interest expense. And when it's repaid, we must repay both the interest and the debt. In 14 years, at 5%, which is the current federal funds rate, the debt would require twice as much money to repay by adding the interest to the current debt. So that would mean our $31 trillion of debt would require $62 trillion to pay back. And 14 years after that, it would double again to $124 trillion. That is unsustainable, reckless, and irresponsible to go down that road. The responsible thing to do is to start reducing those expenses and decrease the debt limit over the coming years and get our country back on a road to recovery. The choice to increase or maintain the debt ceiling at the current level and the budget at the current level is a choice to take our land of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and turn it into a land crippled by debt and suffering the pains of recovery for generations to come. Let's take a numerical example to see how critical this decision really is. At the current debt level of $31 trillion, it would take $240,000 per household to repay that debt. At an interest rate of 5%, which is the current Fed funds rate, it will take twice that much money in 14 years to pay that back, which would be $500,000 per household. And then 14 years after that, a full $1 million per household. That's why I say it is irresponsible and reckless. Now, let's take another example, this time a visual example to help us get the magnitude of this issue. $1 billion stretched end to end would stretch 96.9 million miles. That is a little over the distance to the sun. So $31.4 trillion would actually stretch to the sun 1,000 times. That is why raising that budget and the ceiling limit on the debt is irresponsible and unsustainable. My plea to we the people is that we study these facts, that we figure it out, that we get our opinions based on what we really feel and what we want for our generations to come. Once we are informed, let us share this message. Let us spread this message, particularly to the younger generations. Let us speak up. Let us let our legislators know what we think and feel. Let's save our great nation. Thank you.